Hello everybody and welcome to the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the 2006 New England 300 in the 18th race for our 2006 NR2003 season. Kyle Busch and Jeff Burton lead us to the green flag as we are underway here at the Magic Mile in New Hampshire. Who is going to have what it takes to get the Lobster Trophy here at the end of the day here in New Hampshire Motor Speedway? Jeff Burton with an early edge ahead of Kyle Busch into turn one for the first time today, and Jeff Burton, course, one time here led all 300 laps en route to victory. Now is once again leading the way early here in New Hampshire over his teammate Kevin Harvick in second. Kyle Busch slots in line in third place behind them, battling his teammate Jimmy Johnson. But it's Jeff Burton, your Coca-Cola 600 race winner, leading the field here at New Hampshire, leading the opening lap of racing in his singular Chevrolet over his teammate Kevin Harvick for Richard Childress Racing. Now, a few laps there, lap 19, the 5 of Kyle Busch, lap 15 to Kyle Busch in the number 5 car to the inside of Jeff Burton for the race lead. Here comes Rowdy Busch to the inside, looking for his third career win. Of course, won his first race at Las Vegas last season, and then earlier this season got the job done at Talladega, and now is battling Jeff Burton for the race lead here at New Hampshire. It'll be Kyle Busch's first short track win of his career as he gets to the inside of Burton, and the Kellogg Chevrolet goes to the lead. Kyle Busch to the front here in New Hampshire. He will get around Jeff Burton for the race lead, and Busch leads the way on lap 20 over Burton, working our way through turns 1 and 2 here in New Hampshire, checking out the rest of the field, make sure everything is a-okay. And there's a caution on the speedway. There's a trouble. Kenny Wallace in the 78 gets turned by Kevin Harvick into the outside wall, and Kenny Wallace crashes, bringing out our first caution of the day here in New Hampshire on lap 20. Harvick spins the 78 out and some damage to Kenny Wallace, but he'll still be in the race, and we'll get back underway on lap 24. It will be Busch and Mark Martin leading us back to the green flag. Some contact further in the backfield, a big spin. There's Martin Truex Jr. into Tony Stewart, and the 20 is destroyed as Truex gets turned to the outside wall by Greg Biffle. Nowhere for Tony Stewart to go, slams into the back of the 1, and Stewart damages Bill Elliott and Jeff Green. Michael Waltrip also involves. Looks like Tony Stewart and Martin Truex are going to be done for the day here in New Hampshire. A huge crash right there. It's going to take out Stewart in the 20, currently second in the points. Couldn't afford something like that to happen, and now he's going to be out from an early crash as Mark Martin has taken the lead for the first time today in New Hampshire. Mark Martin getting by Kyle Busch for the race lead. Now we're underway here on lap 30. It is Busch and Martin for the lead, and David Stremme and Scott Riggs almost wrecked right there going into turn 1, but Martin giving Kyle Busch all he's got. A great battle so far for the lead here in New Hampshire. Who is it going to be, Mark Martin or Kyle Busch, prevailing the new generation versus the veterans of the Cup Series? Of course, Mark Martin still looking for that elusive title. He's going to send it to the inside of Kyle Busch. What a move by Mark Martin to take the lead back from Kyle Busch, sending it on the inside lane in 3 and 4. A brilliant pass. And the caution came out as Jamie McMurray and Dale Jr., you could see it for just a millisecond there, crash into turn 1. Unfortunately, I missed that. My apologies, missing that replay of that wreck. But yeah, they crash into turn 1. They'll both still be in the race, but damaged and off the pace. Back at the front, it'll still be Kyle Busch now clear over Mark Martin. So now Kyle Busch leads the second time in trouble into turn 1. There's a hard hit for Scott Riggs, Greg Biffle, and more. Jeff Gordon's in it. Matt Kenseth because it's like 3 wide. Riggs, Kenseth, and Greg Biffle nowhere to go. All squeeze, hard hit from Biffle to the side of Scott Riggs, the outside wall. Biffle's bumper got in the air, and then Jeff Gordon coming down the track gets drilled by Joe Nemechek. Just not enough room to go 3 wide here in New Hampshire, and a hard impact for 2 of the fast Roush cars, Biffle and Kenseth. And Jeff Gordon's luck doesn't seem to get any better this season. He gets piles into this as well. He's destroyed. Joe Nemechek's done for the night. In the 0-1, he gets selected. And Carl Edwards, by the way, on the inside is going to send it into turn 3. Luckily avoids causing an incident. So yeah, big pile up into turn 1. Brings out the caution flag once again. Kyle Busch will be your leader. Now we're going to get back underway here and resume the action on lap number 49. Mark Martin now gets a better restart than Kyle Busch, and now Martin will clear Busch for the lead. So now Mark Martin back out front once again here in New Hampshire. He'll get around Kyle Busch. We're starting to get right to the inside lane here, down the back straightaway. Busch not going to give it up, but he's going to send it in there in 3 and 4. Here comes Kyle Busch going for the lead. Wants to get the stage win and easily makes the pass. Kyle Busch back to the front here in New Hampshire, and he will cruise his way to his second stage win of the season. Kyle Busch gonna win stage 1 in New Hampshire in dominating fashion. Second stage win of the year for Busch. Jeff Burton second, Mark Martin third, Harvick and Jimmy Johnson the top 5, Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin, followed up by Carl Edwards, Brian Vickers, and how about J.J. Yaley getting the last stage point. So Kyle Busch dominates stage 1, picks up his second stage win of the season by holding off Mark Martin and Jeff Burton. So on to stage 2, Kyle Busch stuck behind Scott Riggs, and lap traffic allows Mark Martin to take advantage of the inside lane, and now Mark Martin will find his way right back into the race lead once more here on lap 93, passing Kyle Busch on lap traffic. In the 21 of Schrader, merging out on the track, collects Casey Mears, and the 42 spins into the outside wall. Schrader going extremely slow, merging back into traffic into turn 3. Casey Mears runs right into his right rear and wipes out hard into the outside wall, and Casey Mears now sustains significant damage in the 42. Of course, he's a bubble driver, so very important that he tries to capitalize on as much points as possible. Mark Martin will lead us back to the green alongside Kyle Busch here on lap 120. It's been a wild start to this race here in New Hampshire. So far, stage 1 was pretty clean. A couple of wrecks. Stage 2 already got our first caution that ordeal there with Schrader and Casey Mears. But now Kyle Busch going to drive right back to the lead on the outside lane, easily clearing Mark Martin. Busch seems to have the best car here in New Hampshire, and he'll continue to show it. Pulling away, caution comes out. Jeremy Mayfield gets turned into the outside wall by Dale Earnhardt Jr., and the caution will come out once more as Mayfield goes spinning into the outside wall, bringing out the caution flag. So still be Kyle Busch leading the way here now on lap 125. The ensuing restart still leading Mark Martin. Jeff Burton second, third, a big crash. Dave Blaney in the 22. Wrecked down the front straightaway. Robbie Gordon just comes down on him, getting loose, it looks like, out of turn 4. Nowhere for Dave Blaney to go, just right across the nose of Bobby Labonte. He spins to the inside wall. Michael Waltrip gets some more damage, piling into the back of Scott Riggs. And caution comes out once more for another minor incident. Kyle Busch still out front with Mark Martin. They seem to have the two best cars in the field and will lead us back to the green flag once more. Behind us, they're almost wrecking again here. Casey Mears, Ryan Newman were making some contact, but they sorted out. And now Mark Martin will clear himself with the race lead once more. The AAA Ford on the outside lane going to get by Kyle Busch. Mark Martin to the point here in New Hampshire. Great restart from nothing. Ensuing lap, the caution comes up as a 42, and Casey Mears gets dumped hard into the tire barrier. Also, a head-on collision to that inside wall. A hard hit for Casey Mears right into the tire barrier. He got dumped by Robbie Gordon. He's going to be out of this race. Casey Mears is done. And as a bubble driver suffering a catastrophic setback, he will DNF and finish in 37th, right in front of another bubble driver, Matt Kenseth, in 38th. Kyle Busch this time is going to get the jump on the restart and get ahead of Mark Martin. So we continue to change leads on the restart. First, it was trouble behind us. It was Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick. Jeff Burton sideways. Can they save it? Yes! What a save by your leaders. And Vickers and Burton almost like about. I thought Carl Edwards and Jeff Burton were goners right there. We nearly wrecked about the whole field down the backstretch. Somehow, everybody saves it, including Vickers and Jeff Burton going way up the racetrack right there. Absolute miracle. Now nearly 4 wide. Cars slamming into cars. And more trouble. Around goes Travis Quaffle in the 32. That could only last for so long before someone went around. And Travis Quaffle going to get turned there by Dale Jr. and gets hit hard by Greg Biffle. After the whole stack-up issue there, that will bring out the yellow after a wild turn of events and some impressive saves here in New Hampshire. It'll still be Kyle Busch, and now he pits, so now it'll be Denny Hamlin and Mark Martin leading us to the green flag. How about the rookie of Hamlin having another strong run? Of course, Hamlin got his first career win at Texas. Caution out already into turn 1. Robbie Gordon is going to get cleaned out by Scott Wimmer in front of the pack. Jeff Burton gets a piece of it. Newman gets into the wall trying to avoid, but pretty much only a one-car incident there. Robbie Gordon going around into the outside wall, and the caution out once again. It has been a chaotic stage 2 so far, and we're slowly but surely making our way to the end of the stage. Denny Hamlin tries to lead his first lap of the day. Mark Martin, great run on the outside lane. Who's it going to be? Martin Hamlin side by side for the lead. Mark Martin at the line gets the nod. Now he'll restart alongside Hamlin as we get back underway on lap 146, and the 11 gets turned. Denny Hamlin, your leader, gets wrecked down the front straightaway and collects Michael Waltrip. Hamlin got dumped by Mark Martin for the lead. Unbelievable turn of events here in New Hampshire. Hamlin had just gotten the race lead, and now he gets wrecked and collects Michael Waltrip and Elliott Sadler in the process. Unbelievable. Hamlin now a long way to go to climb back to the front, and also just shocking that Mark Martin would do that kind of thing on the restart. And now Jimmy Johnson's your leader, so he leads the lap. Harvick, who is going to be the leader, is pitting as we go green. So now it's Casey Kane and Carl Edwards, the front row. So a lot of 9s here on the front row, 9 and 99. Who's it going to be? Carl Edwards gets a great launch into turn 1, gets super aggressive with his entry to the corner, and a big crash behind us. Edwards takes the lead, but that is Jimmy Johnson slowing down, and huge damage to the 16 of Greg Biffle, who goes head on. Hard impact into the outside wall for Biffle. He is destroyed and will be the second Roush car out of this race, joining Matt Kenseth in the garage. Biffle goes head on to the outside wall via Jimmy Johnson, your points leader, who collects some damage from that. And it'll be Carl Edwards leading, but then he pits, so now it's Ryan Newman and Dave Blaney, the front row here on lap 157. Definitely a wild shake-up of the order of the field here after this string of cautions. Just 35 cars left in this race. Biffle, the most recent addition to the garage. And now Ryan Newman, a great advantage to the lead, and Dave Blaney sends it in turn 3 and 4. An aggressive move is going to pay off. How about the Caterpillar Dodge for Bill Davis Racing? Here comes Dave Blaney to the inside of Newman. Newman, your defending series champion, going to lead that lap. Scrapping it out here with Dave Blaney, who's now going to get a nose ahead. And Dave Blaney clear for the lead here in New Hampshire. But don't be too comfortable, because he's got pressure now from the 25 of Brian Vickers to the inside. And Vickers, who's got a much cleaner race car, is going to drive his way right into the race lead for the first time today here in New Hampshire. Brian Vickers and Dave Blaney scrapping it out for the top spot here in New Hampshire. Some great racing on this restart for the race lead. First between Newman and Blaney, now between Blaney and Vickers as they get by the lap car of Hamlin, of course, still repairing damage from getting junked by Mark Martin. And now Brian Vickers will clear himself for the race lead. And Vickers leads away, and now behind us Harvick and Yaley going way down the racetrack on that 161. Squeeze up the track and into the wall. There goes Yaley and Ryan Newman. Hellacious crash, head-on impact for J.J. Yaley. Up in the air goes the right side of Ryan Newman's Dodge. And two cars having some solid runs today are completely destroyed. Yaley got a stage point in the first stage. Newman was leading laps and it gets destroyed. And now all sorts of chaos. Everyone trying to avoid the pit lane here. And Kevin Harvick got so fortunate he wasn't cleaned out in that, but he just takes out J.J. Yaley and Ryan Newman. They'll both be out of this race. Vickers leads away, and Casey Kane sideways into Denny Hamlin, squeezing Quaffle on the outside wall, but they saved it. Did they save it this time? They saved it the first time they nearly wrecked. So far, so good. I think they saved it again. Unbelievable driving skills out of Casey Kane. A big stack up hard to the outside wall. Around goes Bobby Labonte in the front straightaway, up into Jeff Gordon, upside down. The 43 barrel rolling down the New Hampshire front straightaway. Bobby Labonte gets up and over off the bumper of Jeff Gordon. Significant damage to Bill Elliott in the 00 as well. Oh my goodness. What a turn of events here in New Hampshire. Labonte going to be up and over and out of this race, as is Jeff Gordon, who's one of our bubble drivers, trying to fight for his life to make the 10-man chase. Now there's going to be just 32 cars left in this race, or maybe even less, as Harvick and Vickers leads back to the green flag. And now Kevin Harvick will drive his way and secure the race lead here on lap 172. Harvick to the point, Brian Vickers behind in second. And now here we are, last lap of stage 2. Kyle Busch is reeled in. Harvick trying to get one last shot on him. Gets a great 3 and 4, but does he have enough to make a pass? No, he does not. Kevin Harvick wins stage 2 over Kyle Busch in second. Mark Martin, Vickers, Sterling Marlin, the top 5. Then Carl Edwards, Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, David Stremme, and Tony Raines, the top 10. Kevin Harvick's 5th stage win of the season, which ties Jimmy Johnson for the most of any driver in the Nextel Cup Series, as he holds off Kyle Busch to win the stage. Now Carl Edwards and Dave Blaney restart on the front row here to begin the final stage of racing. Edwards takes the lead. Caution out already. Trouble. That is Scott Wimmer in the 4, who turned Clint Boyer into turn 1, and Boyer just squeezes Wimmer back into the outside wall. Wimmer gets spun around, and that would bring out the caution flag once again in a chaotic race here in New Hampshire. It seems we can't get too much of a green flag run going before we have another incident for the race lead. Carl Edwards will be your leader, but then he comes down pit road, so now it'll be Kevin Harvick restarting alongside Dave Blaney for the race lead. Harvick to the point, and there's trouble behind us. There goes Reed Sorensen and Sterling Marlin around into one, and another big crash into turn one. Brings out the caution flag once again. Sterling Marlin, Reed Sorensen involved, Robbie Gordon, Jeff Burton as well with a little bit of damage. And that will bring out the caution once again. Cars driving all over the racetrack, trying to avoid running into each other. An aggressive block there by Kurt Busch. But back at the front of the field is Mark Martin now putting pressure on Kevin Harvick for the lead. Here comes the 6. Can Mark Martin steal the lead away with the race back to the line? It's a drag race. Harvick by a nose will be the leader in the control car on this restart as we resume action with 103 laps to go in New Hampshire. It is Mark Martin leading Kevin Harvick as you go through turn 1 and 2, and Harvick gets a great run to the inside lane, and the 29 takes the lead. Kevin Harvick back out front of the field. Here in New Hampshire, big trouble. Around goes the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, your points leader spinning. Also involved is Jeff Burton and Sterling Marlin. Scott Wimmer also collected a 4-car crash. Make it 5 down the back straightaways. Bill Elliott goes head on into the tire barrier. Hard hit, or bumper first in the tire barrier. Hard hit for Bill Elliott. That will take him out of this race. Everyone else in a big pile. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Petty. The 45 spins himself out off of Ken Schrader, and nowhere for Denny Hamlin to go. Runs right into the back of him. And that's going to be the end of the day for Hamlin, who was so strong early, but was never able to recover after being wrecked by Mark Martin from the lead. And now here we are, restarting 98 laps to go. It is Kevin Harvick dueling Mark Martin for the race lead. How about David Stremme in third? Kyle Busch is a couple cars behind this in fifth, trying to work his way back into contention for the win. We know he has the speed. He's been able to stay out of trouble. And now it should be him battling Harvick and Mark Martin. They've been the best 3 cars for the day, all day long. Mark Martin has the lead, but Kyle Busch forces him wide. 3 wide for the lead in turn 1. Kyle Busch with an aggressive move to take the lead, and it's gonna work. What a move. Kyle Busch to the lead with 70 to go in New Hampshire by swinging to the inside of Mark Martin, making a 3 wide pass for the lead. How about that? Kyle Busch, your new leader here in New Hampshire. Behind his trouble, there goes Carl Edwards in the 99. He was running in the top 5. Gets cleaned out, and Robbie Gordon and Kevin LePage's crash. Nothing he could have done. Edwards gets ready. Now more cars up. This hard hit for the 7. McMurray and Vickers also heavily damaged up in the air. Goes Robbie Gordon as he gets T-boned by Jamie McMurray. And multiple more cars out of this race as we resume now with just 65 laps remaining. It is Mark Martin who's battling Kyle Busch for the race lead here in New Hampshire. Martin on the outside, Busch on the inside. Here we go. Who is it gonna be? Busch trying to prevail and get his second win of his sophomore campaign. Mark Martin trying to get his first win since the season finale last season at Homestead Miami Speedway. And Kyle Busch with a powerful exit to turn 4. Busch takes the lead and driving away with 64 to go here in New Hampshire. And now white flag in the air. Presented by Credit One Bank, Kyle Busch leads the way here in New Hampshire, looking to bring home a dominant victory. Once he took the lead there, the last 60 laps, he's driven away from Mark Martin and Kevin Harvick to a 6-second lead, and is well on his way to a well-deserved victory here in New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Puts Kenny Wallace one more lap down the back straightaway, in a great day for the young driver Kyle Busch. He is going to get his first lobster. Kyle Busch wins at New Hampshire in dominating fashion, leading 147 of 300 laps. Career win number 3 for Kyle Busch. Mark Martin and Kevin Harvick round out the podium. And then it will be Carl Edwards finishing in 4th. Kurt Busch there, lap down in 10th. Rounding out the top 5, you will have the 9 of Casey Kane. So a top 5 effort for Casey Kane. 6th place will be Jeff Burton. 7th place will be Brian Vickers. David Stremme 8th. And then Reed Sorensen and Kurt Busch a lap down in 9th and 10th. So Kyle Busch wins the Lennox 300 here in New Hampshire. The 3rd win of his young career so far, the 2nd of this season. You'll see the final race results there on the left side of your screen. Pause and scroll through them if you'd like. And we will see the updated Chase standings after 18 races in the regular season in a few short moments. So here are your updated standings for the next NASCAR Next Level Cup Series. 18 races down, 8 remaining in the regular season before we begin the chase for the Cup. Jimmy Johnson's points lead has shrunk down a little bit to 98 points, but it's still multiple races over second place. He's still very comfortable up there. Then Kyle Busch has jumped his way all the way up to third in points after his strong performance. Harvick jumps up to fourth. Tony Stewart drops all the way down to fifth in points with that early DNF. Edwards, Busch, Burton, Biffle, good gaps for the cut line. Casey Kane sits on the bubble, 1 point above Dale Jr., Kenseth, Gordon, Hamlin, some of the notable guys just on the outside looking in, trying to find their way into the chase after a huge win from Kyle Busch at New Hampshire. And as we end this episode, as always, going to give a special shout out to my channel members. Thank you very much to Brenda Breen and Jeremy Isley. I really appreciate your guys' support. It means a lot to me and helps this channel, and I continue to produce some awesome content on our road to 1,000 subscribers. We've just recently eclipsed 985, so those of you that are watching and are not subscribed, please do subscribe. It's completely free. It only takes a couple of seconds, and I would really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And if you want to become a channel member, link is down below. And until next time, I hope you all have a good one.